quarterly and annual submissions from trustees and service providers. Your pension is in safe hands. Know your rights and trust Retirement Benefits Authority to keep your future secure. For more information, visit our website www.rba.go.ke, call our toll-free line on 0800 720 300 or email info@rba.go.ke. Secure your future. Secure your peace of mind. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
The global science, technology, and innovation landscape is evolving rapidly. And according to experts, STI is expected to be the driver of the fifth industrial revolution. And Kenya is at the heart of this race here in Africa.
I want to see the Innovation Agency as an institution that creates jobs, that creates the wealth. In other words, on one side is an institution that will collect, and on the other side is an institution that actually creates these enterprises, creates these high-value, innovation-led startups.
This week on Inside Government, we're talking to the Chief Executive Officer of the Kenya Innovation Agency, Dr. Tony Omwanse, and we shall be exploring what Kenya is doing to reposition itself as an African technology and innovation hub. Watch the conversation right here on KBC Channel 1 with me, O'Brien Kimani.
Ahead of the 61st Jamhuri celebration set to take place tomorrow at the Uhuru Gardens here in Nairobi County, with the Regional Commissioner Kate Mwanza saying that security measures are on deck to ensure smooth operations ahead of that celebrations tomorrow. That and much more in business and sports is what forms the bulk of our broadcast tonight. Before we prime you, the headlines. Firming up our laws, President Ruto assents to 7 bills, one raising the bar in the recruitment of the next EACC chairperson.
And the first batch that will be traveling from today to this weekend will be nearly 300 young men and women going to Qatar.
Seeking opportunities abroad, Kenya sends the first cohort of the Labour Export Campaign. And hope in the war against HIV and AIDS. See how an innovation promises to shift the fight against the global health crisis. Thank you for making time for us. You're on Prime Edition. I'm Doreen Arange. Lucy Mora is our sign language interpreter. And now the next chairperson of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, will be recruited from the legal field. This is after President William Ruto signed the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Amendment Bill of 2024 that requires the chairman to have the qualifications of a High Court judge. This is in line with the recommendations of the NADCO report on fighting corruption. The president, who also met evangelical and Pentecostal religious leaders, further signed several bills into law. Giverson Minor opens our coverage tonight.
President William Ruto on Wednesday signed at least 7 parliamentary bills into law. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Amendment Bill of 2024 seeks to effect the recommendations and views of the public submitted by the National Dialogue Committee. The bill requires the anti-graft body chairperson be a person qualified to hold the office of a judge of the High Court, limiting prospective office holders to the legal minds. The Kenya Revenue Authority Bill gives the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary power to waive penalties payable by an appointed agent who failed to transfer funds collected if the failure was inadvertent. Kenya Roads Board Bill reduces the membership of the Kenya Roads Board from 8 members to 5. Other bills signed into law are tax laws, tax procedures, business laws, and statutory instruments. The head of state also hosted religious leaders from evangelical and Pentecostal churches aimed at strengthening state and church partnership. This coming after a tiff with the mainstream Catholic and Anglican churches over donations. Giverson Minor, Prime Edition.
Now, 300 Kenyans who form the first cohort of the labor export campaign by the government have left the country to commence work in Qatar. Flagging off these recruitees across the country, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki said the government was doing everything possible to secure job opportunities for Kenyan youth from across the world. The youth were recruited under the Kazi Kwa Ground, Kazi Maju and Kazi Mtaani initiative.
The first cohort of 300 Kenyan job seekers going to Qatar have officially left the country. The job seekers will be employed in fields such as nursing, driving, technical areas and domestic sector. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki, who flagged off the group, said that the project for advanced jobs is not a step of immigration, but a step to promote access to employment, adding that the government is determined to seek job opportunities for young people out of the country.
Through this approach, we are ensuring that our youth are not just employable, but thrive in an increasingly competitive global market. So far, over 6,000 skilled workers have been certified under the recognition of prior learning program. 6,170 coxswains have been trained. 272 ICT hubs across Kenya have been set up.
Labour Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua assured Kenyans that this high-level work project is working, while criticizing those who oppose the project. He added that the exercise of sending the remaining 2,700 people abroad will continue as scheduled.
And the first batch that will be traveling from today to this weekend will be nearly 300 young men and women going to Qatar. We have over 5.4 million Kenyans who can work if they got an opportunity to work. We can't absorb all of them.
Our job creation strategy is structured like the proverbial three-legged stool: Kazi Kwa Ground, Kazi Maju, and Kazi Mtandaoni.
Qatar Ambassador to Kenya Mohamed Al-Anzi, who was present, said his country is willing to offer more job opportunities to Kenyans, assuring the job seekers of their safety and that no one will be oppressed.
The Embassy of Qatar in Nairobi works closely and hand in hand with the Ministry of Labor in Kenya about this issue. I wish good luck to Kenyan laborers who are going to work in Doha.
For Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
And our Kenyans have been urged to turn up in large numbers for the 61st Jamhuri Day celebrations at Uhuru Gardens, Nairobi County tomorrow. President William Ruto will lead the nation in marking the event. Nairobi Regional Commissioner Kate Mwanza announced that gates at Uhuru Gardens will be open to members of the public as early as 6 a.m.
The monument Uhuru Gardens is more than a public recreational space. This iconic memorial park is where 40,000 Kenyans gathered on 12 December 1963. On this night, the Kenyan flag was first raised at midnight as Kenyans ushered in freedom from colonial rule. The country is now set to commemorate its 61st year since gaining independence at the same venue. Speaking in Nairobi during this year's Jamhuri Day media breakfast briefing, Principal Secretary Broadcasting and Telecommunications Edward Kisiangani called on Kenyans to appreciate the strides made attributing the growth to political stability.
When you look at the food security, it was very low. Some of our people are starving, a lot of people within the population. And we also had problems of disease, various diseases which were not supposed to kill our people. At independence, were killing our people. That's why the founding fathers of this continent, this country, focused on the issue of literacy, poverty, and also focused on dealing with the disease. And when you look at all those pillars, each one of them has been tackled by successive governments.
Echoing his sentiments, Nairobi Regional Commissioner Kate Mwanza emphasized the importance of Jamhuri Day celebrations.
Independence is no mean achievement for a country. It's very, very important that it's us who are running our affairs as a country, plan on our own, and that's why we want everybody to be part of these celebrations.
Mwanza further observed that all security measures have been put in place in residential areas, commercial buildings and roads for those attending the celebrations and those moving around in the city.
Wageni wetu waweze kufika Uhuru Gardens tomorrow saa 12 tuanze mapema tumalize mapema.
It is ours, not for anybody else. And we shall be there to ensure that you have facilitation. Traffic management will be well controlled. We shall also have facilitation to the center or to the field where the celebration will be done. And as I've said, being in charge of the security of the city, that this is our celebration that we celebrate as a country.
This year's Jamhuri celebrations is anchored on the theme jobs, labor migration, entrepreneurship and entertainment. Jacqueline Masharia for Prime Edition.
And now the National Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi has cautioned pension schemes against unnecessary expenditure of members' funds and engaging in wrong investments that drain pensioners' contributions. Mbadi says that such miscalculated moves coupled with corruption have collapsed several schemes, hence occasioning a grim future for retirees who have spent years saving for their sunset days.
Wednesday marked the third annual general meeting of the Public Service Superannuation Fund held at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. The fund, which has been in operation since 2021, with a membership of 442,929, recorded an increase in fund value from 84.74 billion in the previous year to 142.22 billion shillings.
The government has consistently demonstrated its commitment by remitting contributions in a timely manner, and during the year, we received a total contributions, chief guest, of about 44.7 billion Kenya shillings.
the government is committed to growing a robust retirement benefit sector. We believe that this support provides a safety net for retirees, reduces poverty in old age, boosts household incomes, and channels savings into productive investment that fuel Kenya's growth.
During the annual general meeting, Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi warned those entrusted with managing the schemes against unethical practices.
What can bring this scheme down is unnecessary expenditure out of this scheme. You must maintain to the bare minimum the operational costs.
The CS also underscored the need for pension schemes to make investments that add value, such as partnering with the government to develop critical infrastructure.
You can invest in commercially viable government infrastructure. You can become Adani. We want local Adani going forward. Please invest responsibly.
Mbadi urging for prompt remittance of deductions to the scheme by those responsible.
I've actually communicated to my officers at the Treasury that withholding or failing to remit contributions to pension scheme is criminal.
I urge the trustees of this scheme to uphold the highest standards of fiduciary responsibility. Your role is paramount in safeguarding the retirement savings of our members. Please prioritize their best interests and ensure that their funds are managed with the utmost care and transparency.
Members of the Public Service Superannuation Fund consist of civil servants, teachers employed by the Teacher Service Commission, disciplined personnel drawn from the National Police Service, Prison Service, and the National Youth Service. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
Some health matters now, and it's a sigh of relief for HIV patients globally after the technological innovation of a new class of anti-HIV medicines with long-acting effects, allowing people at risk of HIV infections and those living with the virus to take medicine twice a year. This was disclosed by the National Syndemic Disease Control CEO, Dr. Ruth Libon Masha, during the 55th Program Coordinating Board for the United Nations on HIV and AIDS, UNAIDS, saying the medicine will be injectable.
In Kenya, approximately 1.3 million people are currently living with HIV and AIDS, with 1.2 million on antiretroviral drugs. In 2023, the country recorded 16,000 new infections and 1.3 million new infections were recorded globally. In a bid to interrupt the continuing AIDS pandemic, scientists have brought to the fore a new class of anti-HIV medicine with long-acting effects, allowing people at risk of HIV infections and those living with the virus to be injected just twice a year.
Adherence has been one of the challenges we face because it's really, especially for adolescents, very cumbersome to take a daily pill. Issues of stigma and discrimination, where children also are living with HIV sometimes stigmatized by their peers. So we are looking forward to really having an option for people to have that, for the prevention, having that twice dosage of injection per year.
Studies have shown these medicines to be more effective than oral medicine. However, the greatest challenge is the cost of the medicines.
More than 200 countries coming together and also being able to galvanize their voices to demand for price reduction.
New innovations, right? They need to be purchased. There needs to be a good price for people to buy them when we all get to that point. But we also need the community structures to actually convince people that they're, or educate people about them so that they're willing to use them, right? All of these are costs and these are programs that we need to sustain in the long term.
With developing partners withdrawing their donations, Ruth says the government is seeking to mobilize funds under the new health reforms.
So globally, 70% of the AIDS response is paid by countries themselves. But what it needs is a plan. It needs a real plan to think about how do you transition from donor dependency to actually paying for your own health programs in every country.
Within the Social Health Authority umbrella, how do we ensure that the back end of commodity supply is available within that model that we have put in place?
Kasi Chanamasha, Prime Edition.
And 4 robbery suspects will have to spend more time in custody after a Kangundo court pushed the hearing of their bail terms to Wednesday next week. The 4 who have pleaded not guilty to the case, which was before Principal Magistrate Sammy Opande, will have to pitch camp at Kangundo Police Station when their plea for bail will be heard and determined. Elsewhere, the family of Rex Wanyike Masai is seeking justice for his mysterious death during the June Gen Z protest, with conflicting testimonies from police officers. Timothy Kipnusu with stories making headlines in the corridors of justice.
The 4 suspects, namely Duncan Wambua Kimeu, Dennis Ndolo Mutunga, Wambua Kenyili Mutunga and Charles Mutinda Margaret, were arrested recently after being on the run and have been accused that on 29th of April 2024 at Kambai Junction along Kangundo Mwala Road in Kangundo sub-county within Machakos County, jointly with others, robbed Titus Muteti Kilika items valued at 1.5 million shillings. After the time of the robbery, the 4 had threatened to use actual violence to the said Titus Muteti Kilika. The 4 had been previously awarded a cash bail of 5 million shillings. However, State Counsel Vivian Nyangena said that the suspects should not be given cash bail as they are at flight risk.
In a society governed by law, then they have an opportunity to also be heard. They need to be granted an opportunity to be heard, and therefore I'm going to hear them.
Elsewhere, 68 petitioners have challenged the government directive mandating all public institutions to onboard the e-citizen platform, arguing it lacks legal basis, violates constitutional principles, and fails to include public participation. Justice Bahati Mamuye suspended implementation of the directives, pending a hearing scheduled for 31st of January 2025. Finally, the family of Rex Wanyike Masai is pursuing justice for his death, which occurred under unclear circumstances. 2 police officers denied involvement in the murder, with Safaricom data linking 1 officer to the location of the incident. The hearing was adjourned to 5th February 2025 for the review of video evidence.
Summons to issue to Nicholas Ahago, George Likas, Frederick Otieno, and Mikatilili Mweru. Also, the executive officer to avail the ICT equipment for purposes of playing a video clip on the said date. Further hearing on 5th of February next year.
Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Time for me to press pause on this live broadcast. We circle back with plenty more, including business and sports. Stay put.
Wewe bro, nipatie hiyo risiti ya items.
Wazi wazi. Cheki, mimi sina adui hizo nafikiri.
Excuse, nilete risiti yangu ya items. Asante.
Ni pesa ngapi? 3,000.
Hebu nisaidie na ile risiti ya items.
Nimeshinda mili. I'm the latest millionaire. Marry me, baby.
Yes! Guys, nimeshinda laptop. Nimeshinda TV 50 inches.
Nice na Risiti Legit promotion kutoka KRA. Download Risiti Legit app, scan QR code kwenye risiti yako, ujishindie zawadi kem kila wiki. Kuna grand prize ya milioni 3 kwa washindi 3 milioni kila mmoja.
Christmas ni sahi, ishafika na ni kubwa kubwa. Kwani hii Kristi ni bomba na Blue Santa kupitia star 570 hash option 1. Rudia. Star 570 hash option 1. Iko PlayStation 5 na 55 inch TV na iko 500,000 Kenyan shillings. Na mbuzi moja? Na mbuzi. 1 million Kenyan shillings na Samsung S24 Ultra. Na mbuzi moja? Iko 2 million Kenyan shillings na iPhone 16 Pro Max. Na mbuzi mbili. Blue Santa amekuja na zawadi kibao. Na ni kubwa. Hapa kuna ndogo ndogo, hapa Christmas ni bomba!
Kenya Coast National Polytechnic is one of the leading TVET institutions in Kenya. Our hands-on training has ensured that our graduates acquire the necessary skills and competencies as required by the industry, leading to their absorption in the job market. We are inviting applications for various diploma, certificate and artisan courses for our January 2025 intake. We offer courses in maritime studies, engineering, health sciences, business and media studies, hospitality and tourism, ICT, driving courses and recognition of prior learning programs among other courses. We accept KUCCPS and SSP students and also accept transfer students. For more information, call the number on the screen or visit our website. Kenya Coast National Polytechnic, a regional flagship maritime transport and logistics center.
This year, as we celebrate Jamhuri Day, we focus on empowering the youth through global opportunities in labor migration, entrepreneurship, and entertainment. We are unlocking global opportunities in the creative economy, targeting job creation through 3 key pillars, that is, creating jobs locally, Kazi kwa ground, facilitating digital jobs, Kazi mtandaoni, and opening doors to opportunities abroad, Kazi maju. Through government programs, we are supporting youth with financial aid for international employment and enterprise development.
During our graduation, the principal told us about registering for the recruitment. So I said, why not? So I acquired my medical certificate. Then I was required to go for the visa. So I applied for the visa. It only took less than 2 weeks. So I acquired my visa. Then I paid for my ticket to go to the UK.
Nilipofika Birmingham airport, already farm ilikuwa isha organize gari ya kutuchukua pale airport. So tulipofika tukachukuliwa tukaenda direct kwa farm.
Jambo la muhimu zaidi ya ile ingine yote ni kuhakikisha kwamba tunapanga ajira ya vijana wetu.
Monetizing talent, boosting the economy, and making Sanani jobs a reality. This Jamhuri Day, we empower the youth for a brighter future locally and globally.
Welcome back. You're on Prime Edition. Let's continue to inform you. And as the KRA KBC Roadshow continues in the southern region, 65% of business entities have already complied with the directive to file their value-added tax returns, marking a major milestone in the Kenya Revenue Authority's bid to enhance revenue collection. The high level of compliance is recorded on both the electronic tax invoice system (ETINS) and the non-electronic mode. The taxman is calling on businesses yet to onboard services on ETINS to leverage on the ongoing campaign of receipt validation to onboard their services or risk losing out on claiming VAT input or expenses beginning January next year. The receipt validation campaign, dubbed Jinais na Risiti Legit campaign, was in Makueni County on its second day in the southern region, where Makueni residents who participated in the campaign received gift hampers. KRA has partnered with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation to publicize the campaign.
Trying to push also is for the end consumers to actually go ahead and ask for receipts. So for these non-compliant businesses to be forced, to onboard on either to be on board either teams or e-teams. So looking at the percentage so far, we've been able to onboard. The uptake has been really decent since January, and as per the law, it was said that you wouldn't be able to claim input VAT or any expense if it's not e-Teams or Teams supported.
The government now says 1,080 out of the over 13,000 units in the Mukuru Affordable Housing Program have been completed and ready for occupation. Speaking during a tour of the site by a team from the United Nations Habitat alongside senior government officials, the Acting Secretary, Urban and Metropolitan Development Engineer B.K. Njenga said the project is made up of 26 blocks of bed-sitter units, 14 blocks of one-bedroom units, and 48 blocks of two-bedroom units. The UN Habitat team lauded the project, saying it will solve the housing problem in the capital city.
This site is the biggest single site that we are having in the country. 56 acres having more than 13,000 housing units. And the first 5 blocks are ready for occupation. We are waiting for the lifts. And the next 2-3 weeks, the keys will be handed over by His Excellency the President.
I would like to highlight 3 aspects of the project that actually called my attention in a very positive way. One aspect is the community engagement, the way the team from the government is working already with the communities who are supposed to move in. The second aspect of the program, the project that I would like to highlight, is that it has connection with the housing needs and the qualitative needs. The third aspect of this project and the program specifically is the aspect of affordability.
Now, the Institute of Engineers of Kenya has raised concern over the delay by the government to pay the engineers involved in the affordable housing program. According to the Institute of Engineers of Kenya President Shama Kiteme, the delay has negatively affected their activities and called on the government to expedite the release of the monies. Kiteme claimed that Kenyans contribute about 6 billion shillings through the housing levy deductions, saying the contribution is enough to pay for the services offered in time.
There are laws that needs to be respected in terms of this compensation, but also the functionaries in the hierarchy needs really to clear up, to have the contracts in place for our members and to pay them and compensate them, because really they are serving this country. Every Kenyan is paying housing levy, those who are salaried. And I mean, this should be for the benefit of our members. In addition, we thought this program should really benefit manufacturers.
I would say it is bad leadership and actually corruption. That is where the problem lies in. Because it's not only pitting the local and the foreign. Even between the local, there are those who are sacred. They get paid in advance, or when they submit their documents, theirs is processed very fast and paid. Yet there are other documents which were submitted way back before them, which have not been paid.
The Nairobi Hospital Management has refuted allegations of an impending strike by its staff under the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union over claims of poor working conditions and mistreatment exposed to health workers in the facility. Led by Chairman of the Board of Management, Kenya Hospital Association's Dr. Chris Bichange, the leadership says the welfare of the staff is well taken care of, reiterating the hospital's commitment to creating a conducive working environment for the workers. The board has at the same time distanced itself from the Tuesday's 11th December 2024 protest outside the hospital, terming the act as politically motivated. KMPDU issued a strike notice on Tuesday, announcing plans to conduct demonstrations on the 17th of December 2024 over claims of mistreatment of health workers at the Nairobi hospital.
Our employees are very well looked after staff who will hardly not go to any other clinical center in this country other than Nairobi Hospital. The people who are talking yesterday and they're giving wrong information that we are not paying we are not paying good salaries, we don't have good terms. They are not our employees. Our employees are very happy.
We have not had, as an institution, any formal complaint from our local doctors that they are being mistreated, they are being underpaid. If and when that is brought to our attention, believe you me, we'll deal with it and deal with it precisely and in timely manner.
Tale on that, health-based doctors in Kiambu County and the central region have vowed to down their tools and join their colleagues countrywide on the 21st of this month when the 21-day notice strike expires. Through the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union, the doctors through Secretary General Davji Atela registered their displeasure, citing delayed payments of up to 9 months. The union further blamed the devolved units over the death of 2 doctors in Kiambu County who committed suicide over depression.
Doctors of Kiambu are frustrated. They're more disillusioned. The money for these doctors must be released. Even if they're banked somewhere, if they're being stolen anywhere, they have to be released. That these doctors do not understand how a government can decide to bastardize a collective bargaining agreement, to ignore a return to work formula and reduce wages of intern doctors.
Our doctors are demotivated. Therefore, in as much as hospitals are still there, gates are open, people are working under duress because a lot of pressure is being used, which is not productive.
Kempidiu viva! Viva! Viva Kempidiu viva!
Moving on, the National Heroes Council, environmental enthusiasts and the Kenya Prison Services officials have partnered to plant 10,000 trees at Kitengela GK Prison in Kajiado County to mark the Jamhuri Day celebrations. Speaking during the tree planting exercise, National Heroes Council Chief Executive Officer Charles Wambia said the council will extend the initiative to all other government institutions.
There was beehive activities at Kitengela GK Prison as the National Heroes Council, through the Presidential Environmental Heroes, embarked on a tree planting exercise to commemorate this year's Jamhuri Day celebrations. The Correctional Services Facility had donated the piece of land to the National Heroes Council to plant the trees. The National Heroes Council Chief Executive Officer Charles Wambia said they will partner with all government institutions in tree planting campaign nationwide.
We are not only looking at Kitengela Prison. We are going beyond Kitengela Prison, and the only good thing about Kitengela, it's our pilot agreement in terms of providing space for the National Heroes Council to admit and have pointer where they can be planting or growing trees.
The only way we can lift it up or make sure that we get the 30% we want is commitment by each and every member from every sector. Institutions like schools, institutions like police stations and prisons.
Officer in charge of Kitengela GK Prison, Cristando Makoha, challenged citizens to save the future generation by planting a tree.
Very happy to have the CEO of the National Heroes Council. They have come here to partner with us in tree planting and growing in line with His Excellency's directive.
Agreement in terms of protocol of sharing, partnership for planting trees on matters of environment. We have agreed to look at, can we celebrate if we plant 100 and if 30 can grow, we shall celebrate the 30 because that's the key aspect of our changing the environment.
They at the same time urged the communities to embrace tree growing initiative to improve the environment, adding that climate change is real.
This pack has been given to us.
have a complaint or is something just not adding up with your pension scheme? It's easy to file a complaint directly with the Retirement Benefits Authority, and it's absolutely free. Just visit www.complaints.rba.go.ke and follow the prompts to file your complaint. RBA will acknowledge your complaint within 7 working days. Your complaint will be reviewed and addressed within 30 working days. Your time and peace of mind are important, and anyone dissatisfied with a decision of RBA can appeal to the Independent Retirement Benefits Appeals Tribunal. RBA is here to listen and resolve your complaint promptly, because your retirement should be stress-free. For more information, visit our website www.rba.go.ke, call our toll-free line 0800 720 300 or email info@rba.go.ke. Secure your future. Secure your peace of mind. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
Shh. Star 570 hash. Option 1 kuna PS5 na ni full package na inakuja na JBL Party Box. Your boom experience pia iko.
Mamlaka ya ukusanyaji ushuru nchini inakuletea kampeni ya umma ya G-Nice na Risiti Legit. Thibitisha risiti yako ukitumia app ya Risiti Legit, upate nafasi ya kuibuka mshindi wa zawadi kemkem kama vile shilingi milioni 1 pesa taslim, laptops, televisheni ya inchi 50, smartphones na zawadi zingine. Mombasa, Twasija. Tarehe 13 Ijumaa tutakuwa Sauti House, Moi Avenue, Canon Tower, Ganjoni, Likoni, Kenyatta Avenue, Sabasaba, Changamwe, Kisauni, Shanzu, Bombolulu na Kongowea. Pata app ya Risiti Legit kwa Google Play Store au App Store kwa maelezo ya kuingia katika mashindano ya Risiti Legit. G-Nice na Risiti Legit. KRA, tulipe ushuru tujitegemee.
Welcome back to the broadcast. And now Kirinyaga County is set to benefit Kerugoya Kutu sewerage project, which will be the first wastewater treatment facility in the county. Water, Sanitation and Irrigation Cabinet Secretary, Engineer Eric Muga, who visited the sewerage treatment plant in Ahiti Ndomba, Mwea, said that the project is meant to dignify and improve sanitation within their county.
Water, Sanitation and Irrigation Cabinet Secretary Engineer Eric Mugas says it is high time Kirinyaga had its sanitation improved.
Sanitation in the country has lagged behind. Now we are encouraging projects in the ministry. Whenever there is a water project, we also do a sanitation project. It must have a sanitation component to improve our sanitation connectivity, because as of now we are around 32% nationally, and we are trying to raise this.
Elsewhere, the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife says that the ongoing national wildlife census will help the government formulate wildlife conservation policy.
The census seeks to determine our wildlife population distribution, changing trends, and to identify threats in various ecosystems.
Meanwhile, Narok County Governor Patrick Ntutu has defended his development scorecard, saying his administration has achieved a lot in the last 2 years.
In particular, I have increased the number of healthcare facilities by a total of 76 new health facilities, comprising of 33 maternity units and 43 outpatient facilities, out of which 28 facilities have already been commissioned and open for the public.
Elsewhere, stakeholders in the education sector in partnership with a non-governmental organization have asked the government to provide sanitary towels to ensure that girls can attend school during their menstrual cycle.
We keep vulnerable adolescent girls in school with a near package of sanitary towels, just to make sure that these girls are confident even when they are having their menses.
Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome on Wednesday led staff from the State Department for Lands in planting 15,000 tree seedlings at the Gathiru Forest Station in Kieni, Nyeri County.
The community are still requesting that we work with them. They work with the conservator, the Ministry of Environment and Forest, to be able to take care, because we plant today, we need to take care.
Finally, locals in Ongata Rongai were treated to a rare spectacle after two youthful men on a trail of bees returned items they had purportedly stolen from the owner. The two were saved by the police when the mob attempted to lynch them.
Nikamwambia daktari, nilikuwa nimeenda tao na nimekuja hapa Rongai, vitu zangu zimepotea. Kuna chama fulani wamenidanganya wananipelekea vitu kwa gari na wamechukua hizo vitu wametoroka nazo. Daktari akaniambia Sheila, nipatie 7 days. Nitakuangalilia hizo vitu nione kama nitapata. Before 7 days ndio zimepatikana.
On our weekly features, cinemas and theatre tonight, we take a look at the film Sketchy Africans, which focuses on a desperate entrepreneur pushed by family expectations and business struggles. She teams up with her friend, a debt reading theatre director, to fake an engagement and sham dowry ceremony to secure the much-needed cash. Our reporter Jacqueline Masharia had a sit-down with Vincent Bayer, the film director, and brings us the behind-the-scenes of making the film. Watch.
Hiyo ni nini? Unataka naye? Nini inaendelea hapa?
Nikwambia ukweli hamtaniamini. Hii ni ratio.
Sketchy Africans, a comedy film by New Slate Production, follows Miriam, a desperate entrepreneur who's facing hard times with her businesses, finding herself on the verge of losing everything to the bank. Pushed by family expectations and business struggles, Miriam teams up with her friend Pete, a debt-ridden theatre director, to fake an engagement and sham dowry ceremony to secure much-needed cash.
The whole idea behind Sketch Africans was to create content that takes a stab at being African. This first film explores, I guess, living in Nairobi, how difficult it is making it in Nairobi. It explores our current economic situation, where we are as a country, how people are finding it difficult to survive, and the things and the extremes people will go to keep surviving.
The film stars Nyokabi Masharia and Bruce Makau in the lead roles, supported by Maurice Mwangi, Shix Kapenga, Duncan Burunyo, Benson Ujua, Chris Kamau, Ben Teke, Beatrice Kamau, Gloria Songoro, Andrew Levy, Joy Jambi, and Gerald Langiri.
I first discussed the idea with anyone. It was in February of 2022. So, yeah, it's taken a while. There was a break, a long break, maybe about a year or something. And then there was a few months of finding the actors, talking to them, just trying to brainstorm ideas. But then when we got down to writing and actually sitting in the writing room, I think it was about a 4-month journey of script and character and story development. And yeah, that. And filming was quite quick. It was 14 days, which was very quick. Post-production was also very quick, something I think I'll change on my next film. We had just a month, about a month and a half of post-production. It caused a lot of stress, a lot of lack of sleep. So, yeah, that's something I'll change. A lot of learning has gone on while making this film.
I'm not too sure about these guys. It just feels like we're dealing with the bottom of the barrel.
Vincent Mbaya, the film director, who has previously directed Country Queen, the first Kenya series on Netflix,
These children are out of control.
The Kalasha-winning crime drama series Pepete for Showmax,
Kishina bunduki, unakufa na bunduki.
And the Kalasha-nominated drama film Chaguo.
Always good when we get together again.
Not Sketchy Africans is his first ever comedy project, and one that hopes will deliver laughs and relatable storytelling that explores the quirks of navigating modern life in Kenya and in Africa.
Even in Pepeta, even in Chaguo, I always felt whenever there was something comedic, I don't know, I just found myself really enjoying filming it. And so I thought, why not try a whole comedy? So that's one. Two, the times you're in. So I feel like everything around us is, at the moment, is so heavy. When you watch the news, when you read the papers, when you go online, everything is quite heavy. And a lot of the times it's our job as filmmakers to offer relief.
Performances are going to be
We enjoyed what we were making. We knew we were making something nice, but just the reactions we are getting from audiences when they come out of the cinema, when they post, it's amazing. I think as any creative, you're happy when the audience is happy.
Stuck with a motley crew of actors, the not so well laid out plan turns into a farce, spiraling into chaotic series of events that culminate in utter mayhem. Will Miriam and Pete succeed in their plan?
You're missing out on a roller coaster of laughter. You're missing out on a good time. You're missing out on probably what will be the highlight film of the year for you when you watch it. And so go watch it. So catch it at Prestige Cinema, at Junction, at Anga Diamond Plaza, and if you're in Eastlands, at Motions, Greenspan Mall.
Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
Peter!
Hey.
Time for your business news now. Stepping in for my colleague Wairimu Njenga. And the government will place persons living with disabilities in various institutions for paid internship programs in the digital skills sector. Mary Kerema, Secretary at the Ministry of Information, Communication, Technology and Digital Economy, says the government's Ajira digital platform is being reviewed to empower persons living with disabilities with hands-on experience and confidence in pursuing digital opportunities.
The Ajira digital program is an initiative of the government whose mission is to enable 1 million young people to access digital and digitally enabled jobs. The program aims to position Kenya as a choice labor destination for multinational companies and a global freelancing hub. Mary Kirema, the Secretary at the Ministry of Information, Communication Technology, says through the initiative, young people living with disability will be empowered in a move to drive innovation, inclusivity and prosperous society for all.
We recognize the immense potential of persons with disabilities and their invaluable contribution to our society. To this end, we have implemented various policies and programs aimed at empowering PWDs and promoting their inclusion in the digital economy.
we've been able to partner. We have over 70 young people, PWDs, who've benefited as apprentices, who've gotten stipends, who've been able to support and work with very specific organizations that are our partners. But in general, as we've trained almost 12,000 young people every month across the country.
They were speaking during the launch of a JIRA for Persons with Disabilities apprenticeship program in Nairobi, which will see persons with disabilities access free training to participate in the digital economy.
We are really committed to see results that are going to benefit persons with disabilities. They are there in their numbers. They are people who are supposed to live independently.
I appreciate when we teach them in school and they come to you people and you give them jobs to empower them economically, to make them become persons that can be useful in the society.
Frederick Mwoki for Prime Edition.
Non-tariff barriers remain a major threat to regional integration, especially at the border point. The East African Community Secretary General Veronica Nduva says trade barriers are curtailing intra-regional trade, calling for integration of technology and innovation to enhance efficiency at border points.
As we move towards implementation and implementing the actionable recommendations that have been presented to us here today from this forum, it's critical that we remain committed to the collaborative spirit that has defined this dialogue.
The East Africa Community Partner States to redefine peace and security frameworks to fit contemporary threats and engage in structural dialogues.
Really building bridges of the young people and ensuring that they see themselves as East African. The JZ has remained a long partner of the ESCN. We are really grateful through the ULEAD program that we are able to recognize the young people for their efforts.
Dairy processor Brookside has rolled out a capacity-building initiative targeting smallholder farmers to boost the quality and quantity of milk produced. Brookside General Manager for Milk Procurement, Emmanuel Kabaki, says this is part of efforts to ensure a steady supply of milk for processing amid growing demand for dairy products. Kabaki made the remarks when Brookside announced a payout of 500 million shillings to contracted smallholder dairy farmers who supplied raw milk between July and November this year. The amount represents a 41% increase on what was paid out during a similar period last year. Tea and coffee value chain stakeholders are advocating for the integration of climate-smart agricultural practices through a multifaceted approach. The stakeholders say adopting these practices will be crucial in positioning Kenya as a leader in sustainable agriculture and enhance the country's appeal to global and regional markets.
Tea and coffee sectors remain central to the country's agriculture economy, employing 40% of the total workforce and 70% of the rural workforce. However, the country's trade position faces challenges as the volume of trade as a share of GDP declined from 46.7% in 2014 to 32.4% in 2023, while exports of goods and services as a share of GDP dropped from 17.5% to 11.84% over the same period. To reverse this trend, the State Department for Trade, in collaboration with the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, is leading a validation workshop on the green supplement to the National African Continental Free Trade Area Strategy, an initiative that seeks to harmonize the country's trade and environmental objectives.
It's important that in the context of climate change and environmental-related hazard, that we build resilience for these sectors so they are properly managed and they are in a better way to provide more jobs, to provide more economic gains, more export earning for the Kenyan economy so that it's resilient, it can adapt in a meaningful way with the climate shocks.
Its adoption means that Kenya will need to update trade and environmental policies to incorporate green standards, ensuring compliance with international agreements and consumer expectations.
Look at the strategies that can be developed not only by the government but the private sectors and other stakeholders has to be part of the process so that they are aware on what's going on and what type of support they can gain, especially in this context, how we can leverage green financing for investment in agriculture, particularly targeting the coffee and tea sectors.
This approach is expected to safeguard the livelihoods of over 5 billion people reliant on the tea and coffee sectors. Trevor Ngendo for Prime Edition.
The race for the African Union Commission chairperson is on. The stakes are high, the expectations higher. 54 countries. Who will lead Africa's vision? Catch the live debate this Friday, December 13th, 2024 at 7 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Don't miss it as the candidates face off. The Mjadala Africa Debate.
A very good evening to you. Welcome back to KBC Prime Edition. My name is Karen Kibet. Let's now talk sports. Harambee Stars head coach Engin Firat has resigned. This was confirmed today by the newly elected FKF president, Hussein Mohammed. Hussein revealed that the Turkish coach handed in his resignation this week to end his 37th month tenure as the head coach of the Kenya national men's soccer team Harambee Stars. Firat was appointed in November 2021 and took charge of the team in a total of 26 matches, whereby he failed to qualify the team for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations finals and the 2025 edition in Morocco.
Firat initially entered a 2-month contract with FKF in September of 2021 that later earned 4 years and 2 months extension until January of 2026. Part of this of his deliverables included qualifying for Kenya for the 34th edition of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, as well as the 35th edition of AFCON 2025, which could have earned him a further 2 years contract extension. I'd like to point out that the national coach terminated his contract through a notice that was issued this week, at the beginning of this week, and it was important for us to convene the media to inform all Kenyans.
Moving on, the Kenya Parliamentary Women's Volleyball team bounced back from their opening match defeat to overcome Rwanda by straight sets in their second game of the ongoing East African Community Interparliamentary Games in Mombasa.
After their opening game setback, where they lost to Ugandans by 3 straight sets, they fought hard against Rwanda in the first set, but eventually won it 25-21, but made sure to contain their opponents in the second set, which they won 25-15, before they sealed in their victory by 25-18 in the last set. The Kenya Women's Parliamentary Volleyball coach Gideon Chenje said the win has given them the much-needed boost to forge ahead of their determination to match their men's team success.
Lengo letu la kwanza ni kudefend ile ya men na pia kwa kinadada kujaribu kukua katika ile position nzuri kama ile 1, 2, 3.
The team is scheduled to play South Sudan next, although the Sudanese are yet to show up to the games. Rwanda, on the other hand, have lost all their matches so far after Tanzania beat them by straight sets in the opener, but their coach is taking it well in stride for the spirit for the games.
You know, the rivalry, of course, comes when two teams are good and they believe they can all win. It didn't really show so much here because for us it is about networking, togetherness, being East African. So the rivalry today did not show. Well, it could have been shown in the fans.
The East African Parliamentary Games were officially opened on Saturday and will run until 18th of this month, with participants taking much into soccer, netball, athletics, tug of war and darts for persons with disability, apart from volleyball.
The Kenya men's netball team recorded mixed results today in the ongoing African Netball Cup in Namibia. The Net Kings initially lost their match narrowly to Zimbabwe, who beat them 32-28 before they went on a rampage against Lesotho, whom they thrashed 63-23 in the men's competition. They had faced Zambia in one of their opening matches to defeat them 34-28. The Kenya Divas, on the other hand, gave it all against Zambia in the ladies' matches but lost 51-41 as the hosts Namibia also lost to Uganda 32-24 in another match. The Kenya women's netball team fared no better against South Africa, who beat them 74-29 in the opening matches.
Interestingly enough, Red, I believe both teams really are taking it a bit slow, the tempo.
And finally, Tusker FC failed to leapfrog KCB at the top of the FKF Premier League standings after a 1-4 to AFC Leopards in one of the midweek matches. 10-man Gor Mahia beat Shabana by a solitary goal at the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. Kariobangi Sharks at least managed to snatch a point against Nairobi City Stars in their 2-2 draw at Utalii Sports Ground. Mohamed Ali opened the score sheet for Nairobi City Stars in the 14th minute before Panchol equalized through a penalty. Andreas Odhiambo put Sharks back to the lead before Brian Mzee cut their celebrations short with the equalizer for City Stars. In another match, Kenneth Muguna scored a brace as Police FC beat Bidco United by 3 goals without any reply at the Sports Pesa Arena as Talanta FC got back on track against Mara Sugar, whom they beat 2-0 at Kenyatta Stadium. Ulinzi Stars were forced to share the spoils with Bandari in their 1-1 draw. Same for Posta Rangers at home to Kakamega Homeboys. And that's all the sports stories we had for you tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. I'll see you tomorrow with more sports news. I hand you back to my colleague Doreen.
Thank you very much, Karen, for that. Time for me to now exit and sit down for the next program. This has been Prime Edition. We appreciate you for making time for us. I'm Doreen Arange. Lucy Maura has been our sign language interpreter. Good night.
Ishafika na ni kubwa kubwa. Kwani hii Kristi ni bomba na Blue Santa kupitia star 570 # option 1. Rudia. Star 570 # option 1. Iko PlayStation 5 na 55-inch TV na iko 500,000 Kenyan shillings. Nambuzi moja? Nambuzi. 1 million Kenyan shillings na Samsung S24 Ultra. Nambuzi moja? Iko 2 million Kenyan shillings na iPhone 16 Pro Max. Nambuzi mbili. Blue Santa amekuja na zawadi kibao. Nani kubwa hapa kuna ndogo hapa